Now, after an 8-month investigation, the Senate Judiciary Committee released a report claiming former President Trump pressured top DOJ officials to investigate claims of voter fraud. The review of documents, emails, and testimony from the Justice Department during Trump's final days in office paints a tense picture of conversations at the White House in the weeks following the 2020 presidential election. We're joined now by Julia Manchester, a reporter at The Hill. She's breaking down what we've learned, and this is a long document, about 400 pages long. The Senate report describing 9 different times President Trump placed pressure on DOJ officials to investigate claims of voter fraud. Do any of these allegations amount to criminal activity from what we know, Julia?
Well, I think we are going to see lawmakers and experts continue to dig into that, Adrian, to really make that conclusion. But there's some pretty serious findings in this 400-page DOJ or Senate document. We see that President Trump, according to the document, pressured a top DOJ official, a U.S. attorney in Atlanta, to resign over not siding with him over these election fraud claims. We see that Congressman Scott Perry from Pennsylvania was very much involved in trying to push these claims and trying to work with Trump on this. And we see that there was actually an Oval Office meeting, according to this document, that showed, a number of Trump allies essentially saying, look, if we continue to push these claims in Georgia specifically, we are going to see a lot of mass resignations from the Trump administration. So I think, Adrian, the conclusion from this is that President Trump was pushing much more than we thought to really spread these claims, these unfounded claims of election fraud in states like Georgia. And these findings come as he's continuing to call for audits in a number of states like Texas.
Well, it's interesting because the GOP issued their own report saying that the president was being influenced by administration officials, by those in his administration who counseled him with what to do in terms of speaking to the DOJ. Does that bear any weight?
It's hard to see how that bears weight. That's obviously a part of the Republican defense and probably President Trump's defense. But, I don't think it particularly or doesn't seem like it bears weight right now, because if we look at what's happening today, Adrian, we see President Trump pressuring officials to carry out audits in Texas and really pressuring. We saw this in Arizona as well, where he pressured officials to carry out an audit. And that audit eventually found that President Biden actually won Maricopa County, Arizona, by a much wider margin than was actually originally reported. So, it's hard to see how he was pressured in late December or during when this happened, according to the report, and he's still continuing to really push these claims now that he's out of office.
Well, it's interesting. Some of the language is being used. The fact that he used the term overturn the election is being criticized, but is using a term like that with all of the meaning that other people could put into that word akin to breaking the law?
I think that's up for legal experts and, lawyers investigating this to decide. But I think you're going to certainly see Democrats very much pushing for that, and President Trump's critics pushing for that to mean that it essentially is akin to breaking the law. I think you're going to see President Trump's defenders essentially say, look, there was evidence to suggest that he was led down this road into thinking that. But at the same time, we did not see widespread evidence of voter fraud in this country in 2020. So I think that's why this makes it so much more serious that President Trump is literally trying to overturn an election that went, actually, by most accounts, very smoothly.
Well, we will continue to follow this story. It's a big one from Capitol Hill. Thank you, Julia, for being with us.